Office holding a press conference now, updating us on the search for those 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center jail.
Wait a minute, inmates escaped? What's going on in New Orleans?
Late Friday morning, someone they knew called the family and told them that a group of inmates had broken out of Orleans Justice Center.
Oh nah, prison break in 2025 is insane. Let's get to know some of these inmates who has since escaped. First and foremost, you got Derrick Groves, who's convicted of a double murder in 2018 when a mass shooting at Mardi Gras. Then you got Corey Boyd, accused of second-degree murder in 2023. Then you got Jermaine Donald facing second-degree murder and aggravated battery. Gary Price held for attempted first-degree murder. Kendall Miles, he was actually caught. They caught his ass.
Yes! Yes!
I need to confirm that Kendall Miles is in custody. He's being rebooked for simple escape as well. OPSO deputies found him hiding beneath the car at the Hotel Monteleone parking garage, and he was transported to OJC by the Louisiana State Police.
Oh.
And shut case, Johnson.
He had a history of an escape and previously accused of shooting the man up to. Everybody was just letting the trigger go. God damn, these shooters they got out here. Antoine Massey. He has a history of escapes dating back to 2007. He's held for domestic abuse, theft, parole violation, kidnapping, and rape. Rape? Lenton Van Buren, held for firearm possession and parole violation, accused of a 2021 murder. Leo Tate booked with burglary, weapons, and possession. So Leo Tate just got the lightest record of everybody who's involved here. You got straight up rapists and murderers and attempted murderers who's in this lineup. And then you got Leo Tate. I was just robbing folks, you know, with weapons. I was just trying to get by. What the fuck going on over here?
Damn.
You mean to tell me the worst of the worst are the individuals who got away? This is ridiculous. Robert Moody facing charges for obstruction of justice, drug trafficking, and battery. And then, of course, the Kenton Dennis held for armed robbery and weapons charges. Who is overseeing this prison? Where's the warden? You need to be fired.
Yeah! Fire!
Before we even get into the remainder of the inmates, let's first talk about Kendall Miles. Because when you talk about somebody who deserved to be behind bars, you gotta be a special kind of dumbass to escape from jail. And the first thing you do is link up with the homies and go on IG Live.
Yeah, man, nigga know I hit a bag on my boys. Yeah, and I'm about to go with a two.
Yeah.
Get up with me.
Alright. You fresh out, huh?
Out of jail. Stop playing.
What? Yeah.
A few moments later.
Is the man retarded?
Shouldn't your dumbass be laying low? If you escape from the law, why would you go back to where the block is hot? You think the feds and the cops not looking at your homies first to try to identify your whereabouts? Man said, I'm back on the block. I'm outside. Now your dumbass back inside the penitentiary, stupid, where you deserve to be. Dummy. Yeah.
Authorities say on Friday, just after midnight, 10 inmates broke through defective locks on multiple cells and crawled out of the jail through a hole behind a toilet.
This shit gotta be an inside job. There's no way. If this was the early 2000s, I'll throw my hands up and say, hey, you gotta charge it to the game, because most of the attention, for the most part, is gonna be elsewhere. But in 2025, you mean to tell me they were able to take advantage of faulty locks and then go through a wall in the back of the bathroom? And you mean elsewhere? But in 2025, You mean to tell me they were able to take advantage of faulty locks and then go through a wall in the back of the bathroom? And you mean to tell me the people who was behind the doggone camera was unaware of recognizing what was happening? Because this is something that got to be planned and plotted for weeks. It can't just extemporaneously happen in just one day. You would have had to continually pick away at said wall, identify where the faulty locks just so happen to be, concoct a plan, make sure that the individuals who are, in on the plan doesn't let it leak, is on code, and ultimately executes the plan to perfection when the day comes of escape. And you mean to tell me that nobody on staff was able to identify this shit? Clearly, there's a enemy among you on staff, and you better identify them.
New Orleans in Louisiana, as a jail employee arrested in connection to the inmate escape in New Orleans, as the Attorney General Liz Murrill has announced the arrest there, as special agents assigned to the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation have arrested and interviewed 33-year-old Sterling Williams, who was employed as a maintenance worker at the sheriff's office at the time the inmates escaped. Williams admitted to agents that one of the escapees advised him to turn off the water in the cell where the inmates escaped from. Instead of reporting the inmate, Williams turned the water off as directed, allowing the inmates to carry out their scheme to successfully escape.
Now, either A, you're a straight up dumbass for not being able to cover your tracks, or B, you're such an incredibly naive person. You didn't take into account that you may possibly be getting duped by these inmates who have since yet escaped. Because just imagine the astonishment on his face upon hearing from the inmate tell him, hey, why don't you turn down the water inside the cell here tonight? Turn down the water? Oh, that's an odd request. Why would you want me to turn it off? Well, don't I gotta report that? Nah, don't go and report that. I just need you to turn it off just for tonight. I don't think we really want the water going tonight. Huh, that's pretty odd. I mean, it's on every night, right? Turn it down just tonight? That's a little weird, but I guess I could turn it off. What y'all need the water off for? Oh, nothing at all. We just get tired. Sometimes, Johnny on the up there on the second floor, he's always going in the bathroom, just running the water for no reason. So we just figured, why don't we just turn down the water for tonight, just to kick it to Johnny? I don't like Johnny that much either. I'm just gonna turn that down. Don't even worry about me reporting. Very next morning, 10 inmates escaped. Huh? That's a little weird. Wait, ain't I talked to him yesterday? Wait, hold on. So where'd they escape from? The bathroom? Behind the sink? Oh, where the water was. Oh! Wait! But I turned off the water yesterday. Is that why they... Oh, wait, sir, are you saying that you turned off the water yesterday? Is that how they went and they escaped? Well, he asked me to turn down the water because... You won't believe it. They said Johnny on the second floor, he's always running the water. Sir, let me need to see your hands. You're going to prison. Well, jail at that. I don't know how long they'll mess around and give some, but you're getting charged. Why would you listen to the inmates?
Dummy.
Yeah. This case came early Friday evening around 7:30 when authorities arrested one of the escaped inmates, Robert Moody, because of a public tip through Crime Stoppers. So Moody was taken into custody in the 3500 block of 2nd Street, and then later, that source telling us, a Louisiana State Police helicopter taking him to Angola alongside those other 2 inmates.
Another inmate who escaped from a New Orleans jail last week is back in custody. Louisiana State Police sharing this photo of 21-year-old Gary Price, who was arrested in New Orleans this evening. That makes 4 inmates who have been captured so far. 6 are still on the run.
And let me just say this. You've got to be a special kind of dumbass to stay within the vicinity of where you actually got picked up before you went behind bars. You should have been running all through the days and nights, because I think at this point we're 4 or 5 days from the jailbreak. You should have already been in Mississippi. You should have already maybe made it to Texas. You should have already maybe made it upwards to Arkansas. You should have been out of the state of Louisiana. But your dumb ass is still staying within the confines. They caught Gary Price in an abandoned house.
Dummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
I'm not no prison break expert because clearly you're not gonna have no access to the internet for all intents and purposes unless you go around familiar faces and you happen to get a sense of direction. Maybe somebody gives you a map, maybe somebody gives you a bit of money, maybe you mess around and get a burner phone. That'd be stupid, but whatever the case may be, why under any circumstance would you stop? Granted, nourishment and hydration is something that's gonna be on the marquee, because if you don't have any sort of access to no sort of food or drink, obviously fatigue is going to overtake the body. But why would you stay within the confines? The six probably in the Gulf of Mexico at this point. Motherfuckers is probably swimming. Maybe some have made it all the way to Oklahoma or something of that nature. Because remember, it's about 3-some days, and every single one of these individuals just so happen to be incredibly dangerous. What's crazy is on Twitter, if you type in Louisiana prison or jail escapees, they got motherfuckers who damn near betting. This is how I know we don't take shit seriously. You got motherfuckers who's betting on who gonna be the last one standing. They over here making us see, yo, we got money line, -500 on if this dude, what are we doing? These motherfuckers is dangerous. Somebody start snatch, find these motherfuckers expeditiously, bruh, before the week is over, because they're gonna be at large. And I'm telling you right now, it's only a matter of time before they got to revert back to what got them locked up in the first place in order to keep their small variation of freedom. Catch these motherfuckers. They clearly not too bright. At least the first 4 wasn't. Catch the rest of these dudes immediately.
Where are they? Where are they?
Listen, if you in Louisiana, do me a favor. Keep your ass indoors and don't go outside unless you absolutely have to. These 6 fugitives are at large. In fact, 2 of them were spotted roaming the French Quarter, and they obviously happen to have a bit more sense to them than the other 4 inmates that got caught, because they keeping their heads down away from the cameras. But it was already confirmed that these are 2 of the inmates. One way or another, y'all better apprehend these people, because innocent lives are at risk. They are armed and dangerous, possibly. Definitely dangerous. We'll find out if they armed, but they need to be dealt with.
We can't expect God to do all the work. Police! Help! Help!
We are the police. We are the police. The police of Haiti. The police of Haiti.
Take his ass to jail! You go to jail, you son of a bitch!
All right, hold him there.
You go to jail!
Bro, where is the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day? I'm eagerly waiting for that. We got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 teasers for Avengers Doomsday, a movie that doesn't come out until December, the end of the year. Unlike Spider-Man Brand New Day, which comes out in the summer at the end of July. Now, I get Sony is the one that mostly markets the Spider-Man movies, but dude, where is the trailer? We know a trailer for Brand New Day exists. It literally got leaked last month at the end of December, and Marvel still didn't release it yet. Marvel likes to start promoting their MCU movies 6 months before its release date. Like with Fantastic Four, they dropped the first teaser in February 2025, and the movie came out in July 2025. So maybe we'll see a similar scenario with Spider-Man. Marvel will drop a trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day in February 2026, which is 6 months before the movie comes out. Who knows, maybe we'll get a trailer for Brand New Day during the Super Bowl, which is on February 8th, 2026. If the math is right, then the next Marvel trailer coming out is going to be for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I predict we'll get a Brand New Day teaser before March. Bro, where is the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day? Can we agree that these are the Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains? Dude, there's like a massive sneak here. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But let's actually discuss this. What is the Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains? First off, Green Goblin has to be on this list. This is Spidey's arch nemesis. This man's also a D1 hater. He's done a bunch of devious things in the comics and even in the movies too, with Willem Dafoe playing the character. This man in No Way Home traveled to a whole different universe and he decides to just go mess up Peter Parker's life even though he barely knows the MCU version of Peter, and he killed his aunt and he's basically the reason he's all alone now. You also got to add Dr. Octopus. He's arguably the smartest Spider-Man villain out there, and you need someone who can challenge Spider-Man intellectually. You also have to keep Venom. He's Spider-Man's mirror villain. I mean, sure, nowadays he's more so an anti-hero, but he did start off as a villain hating Spider-Man because Peter rejected the symbiote. As for Carnage taking up the 4th spot, I'm sorry, but that's just not true at all. I love Carnage. I think he's one of the best Marvel villains of all time, but he's not Mount Rushmore material. Carnage is a very dangerous villain, but realistically, Carnage is really a Venom villain rather than a Spider-Man villain. The 4th spot has to go to Kingpin. It's so obvious. Now, I get these days Kingpin is a Daredevil villain, but let's not forget he originally started as a Spider-Man villain, and to this day, he still fights Spider-Man. Wilson Fisk does not have any powers either. He just has power. He controls the whole city, and he shows how corrupt New York really is. And Kingpin shows that you can't just win a battle with a fist fight. You gotta play by the rules to take him down. Who do you think belongs in the Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains? Can we agree that these are the Mount two overprotective geniuses? It's actually crazy how in the span of one movie, Marvel already cemented Reed Richards as the smartest character in the MCU. While we barely see Mr. Fantastic use his powers, I like how the movie highlights how smart he really is. Like with what Marvel posted, they show Tony Stark saying, "I see a suit of armor around the world," obviously referencing Ultron, and that shows how Tony failed to accomplish that mission. And then we go to Reed Richards, who actually succeeded and baby-proofed the entire world. Reed managed to stop all crime on his Earth, and that's all because he's expecting a baby and he wants to keep his son safe.
None of them will bother us after the baby is born.
You baby-proof the world.
And it's not just that, the movie showed that Reed Richards invented light-speed space travel. Reed also invented teleportation. If it weren't for Silver Surfer, he was going to teleport the entire Earth to a whole different part of the universe to get away from Galactus. And unlike the Starks, Mr. Fantastic managed to invent a flying car. And I like how this movie shows Reed as a multitasker. He had to help his wife give birth in space while also escaping the Silver Surfer, and they had to figure out how to get back home on limited fuel. So they used the neutron star to keep Silver Surfer trapped for a full month, and they used the neutron star as a slingshot to get back home. Look, Tony Stark is a very smart dude. He's one of the smartest Marvel characters. He created mechanical suits, he created a brand new element, and he also invented time travel. He's accomplished many things, especially in the MCU. But he accomplished all that in the span of 10 years. Whereas all of MCU Reed Richards' feats came from one movie. He already outranks him. And it's even more impressive when you remember that Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four live on an Earth that's set in the 1960s, and he's limited with the technology that's there at the time. Sure, it's retro-futuristic, but it's still the 1960s. And we see in Avengers Doomsday, Reed Richards is going to invent multiversal travel and time travel because he's coming from a 1960s Earth and he's traveling to the main MCU, which takes place in the 2020s in a whole different universe. That alone is far more impressive than Tony Stark inventing time travel. Reed also literally has the title of smartest man alive in Marvel Comics, so this should not be surprising at all. Even Tony knows that Reed is smarter than him, and sometimes he even gets jealous too. One time when Iron Man became God, he gave everyone Stark level intellect, and Reed treated it like an insult because he said he feels dumber. The real question is whether or not Reed Richards is smarter than God Loki, because let's not forget, he spent centuries learning multiversal engineering at the TVA. Pedro Pascal actually surprised me. He is a fantastic Reed Richards. He got everything right with the character, and
Typical of Victor Von Doom to build a 30-foot statue of himself.
Well, it's obviously aimed at first-time visitors.
I can't believe I haven't noticed this before, but it's been right in front of our face this entire time. Robert Downey Jr. was always supposed to be Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, that's a scene from the first Fantastic Four movie directed by Tim Story in 2005, which actually starred the late, great Julian McMahon in the titular role of Victor Von Doom. But I find it so curious and very suspicious that the statue of Victor Von Doom looks more like Robert Downey Jr. Because in case you didn't know, Kevin Feige was actually an executive producer on that Fantastic Four movie. And before we got that shocking reveal that Robert Downey Jr. was returning to the MCU, but not as Iron Man, as Victor Von Doom, and even before RDJ was cast as Tony Stark himself, Robert Downey Jr. was being considered, even tested for the role of Victor Von Doom for this first Fantastic Four movie. Roll a clip.
I would say to Robert, we wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for you. Meaning, we wouldn't have a studio if it wasn't for him.
That's true.
Or you. Tell me your memories of where that idea came from, because there were some other people. There were, and I've talked about it.
I remember that Robert had come in for a general on it. And I remember you had all met with him already for like Dr. Doom or something on another project. I think I think he had come through on a maybe Fantastic Four.
Right. I always reaction to Jon Favreau saying he was supposed to be Dr. Doom or something hilarious, because this interview was conducted before they announced Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. So he thought, oh shit, is fucking Jon Favreau spoiling this shit? But going back to this statue of Victor Von Doom in the first Fantastic Four movie, I think this is about to be the ultimate retcon of all Marvel retcons. And they're actually be able to do something with this. And this also tells me, was
was Robert Downey Jr. really that close to being cast as Victor Von Doom? Because this looks way more like Robert Downey Jr. than Julian McMahon. And then of course it's got my brain spinning because if you've been here before, I have an entire theory about why I think Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom looks like Tony Stark. I'll have that video linked down below because it's a fully in-depth, like 8-minute long video, but it's worth a watch. Because obviously when you look at this statue, it's meant to mimic the fact that he's going to turn into Dr. Doom later on in the movie. The metal face kind of looks like his mask. But also what I find interesting is the sparks flying off of this statue that's barely being made. It almost feels like it's being built, kind of like a suit. Similar to when Tony Stark is building his first Iron Man suit in a cave that he built with a box of scrap! Now, outside of the fact that this is a full circle moment for Robert Downey Jr.'s first ever audition for a Marvel movie, being his most recent MCU role, I think they're going to find a way to tie this together. Because what saga are we currently in the midst of and coming to an end of? The multiverse saga. And mind you, what movie was this replacing? Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Kang, who has a multitude of different variants. And how was Robert Downey Jr. introduced on stage with a bunch of other Doom variants? Now, you could say they're Doom bots, but I think the way it played out, it was kind of like a will the real Doom please stand up type moment, which I think was definitely intentional. And there's also a reason why Robert Downey Jr. said new mask, same task, basically saying that Dr. Doom is going to have the same motivations that Tony Stark had, which was what? Trying to put a suit of armor around the world. Guess what? Doom is going to put a Doom bot across the multiverse, one world under Doom style. And I have a feeling we're going to find out that this version of Victor Von Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr., went through a similar situation that he did with the 10 Rings, only they're going to put a spin on it. Because in the current Ultimate Comics, Ultimate Dr. Doom was actually Reed Richards, was abused, traumatized, and tortured into believing that he was Victor Von Doom by, funny enough, a variant of himself named the Maker. Only for the MCU, instead of the Maker, it was Kang. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of the creators of this comic said if you want to understand Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, you need to read this run. So I think they're going to be doing something similar to this. Maybe we get a version of this Victor Von Doom that looks like Tony Stark that had a similar situation as the 10 Rings, busted out of that cave, similar style, but he was always Dr. Doom. And that's why his mask kind of looks like Doom's mask. And somewhat similar to Tony Stark, he needed his arc reactor to keep him alive. Dr. Doom needs the entire suit to keep him alive, as well as the fact that his face was disfigured. And that's why he is always wearing his armor and his mask, because like Darth Vader, he needs it to stay alive. And again, this is the multiverse, so I can't even imagine what universe this version of Doom is from. I'm definitely expecting us to see multiple variations of Reed Richards. Hopefully, Young Gruffit and Miles Teller return. Miles Teller as a Maker would be fire. But I think we're definitely seeing the return of Young Gruffit. But yeah, Marvel doesn't do things unintentionally. And they usually like to go back and retcon something from the past to make it seem like they've been planning it all along. So if they're actually able to pull off this entire thing with Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, I think Avengers Doomsday is about to be special. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think about all of this? Drop a comment down below, and as always, like and follow for more.